Man's got to catch a plane. We got to get moving here. About 11 years ago, I was introduced to Avi Nir by my client, Haggai Levy, who had just sold his show In Treatment to HBO. Haggai said to me, "You need to meet my former boss, Avi Nir. He's the most important television executive in Israel." Being an agent, that made a lot of sense. Little did I know at the time that introduction would turn into one of the most enduring business relationships and personal friendships in my life. About 2 years later, Avi invited me to speak to the Keshet staff regarding trends in the American television market and to help look for interesting concepts from the Israeli market to bring to the States. As we were walking to the meeting, he said to me, "Remind me to talk to you at lunch about an idea I heard." And at lunch, he told me about a project that he was pitched a day or two before about Gilad Shalit, the Israeli soldier who was taken hostage by Hezbollah. He asked me whether a show about a returning hostage might work in the American television market, and right there, Homeland was born. Homeland is now entering its 8th and final season and helped put Keshet on the map as a great source of content and intellectual property around the world. Keshet's content and Avi's frequent trips to Los Angeles helped his and Keshet's reputation grow. Over the years, his relationships in Hollywood grew to the point where he's incredibly well known, and he hates this, and he's incredibly well liked. And I'm frequently asked not who is Avi, but where is Avi, and when's he coming back? There's not an executive, or more importantly, an artist, who doesn't enjoy sitting with Avi and talking about creative ideas. The INTV conference, sponsored by Keshet and run by Avi, and where I met my wife, Orly, has become another forum to help build the Keshet brand and Avi's reputation internationally. This year, Keshet will have shows on NBC, ABC, Apple, and a great new show to premiere on HBO in August called Our Boys. Don't forget to watch this show. It's very special. And on a personal level, Orly and I have become incredibly close friends with Avi and his lovely wife, Tammy, and their impressive and beautiful daughters, Noam and Yali. As you would expect, they are a wonderfully warm and loving family. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my good friend, Avi Nir. Oh, the clip. We're going to do the clip first. Sorry. Keshet has established itself internationally as being a premier storyteller.
When there is a unique, really innovative story, it works. We see an opportunity and we seize the opportunity. Boom.
There aren't a lot of international players who come to our market and figure out how to make shows for this audience. And Keshet's probably the best at that.
They cross borders incredibly well. Shows like The A Word play in a number of different societies and cultures.
They really have their finger on the pulse of big, internationally appealing commercial drama.
Anyone can be a hostile. Kim, what's going on? Kim!
I want to get you out of this.
I like that.
The
secret to the success of a small Israeli company in the United States and around the world is the quality of its programming and storytelling.
The size of Keshet, it's amazing, the uniqueness of all the kinds of shows.
אני לא מעורב בזה, סתם צירוף מקרים.
ראית את השיעור היית מספר?
They don't do just one thing and one thing well, they do a lot of things really well.
They think I jumped, but I was murdered.
We all were.
They'll bring me everything from Homeland
You will die over there!
to great kind of character-driven comedy. There's a high bar for excellence.
How come she's always the genius when the idiotas?
This I ask myself every day.
One of the reasons why we seem to be so innovative and so entrepreneurial is the Israeli mentality.
Keshet can very quickly get to what's important and what's special about a project. Business-wise, very much the same thing.
The boundaries of your success are only as good as your creators are.
The work ethic and the drive and the kind of collective vision, you just feel it like it's a freight train coming toward you.
It is a family feeling. Everybody is aware of what they're doing. They're all headed in the same direction. It's very rare in this business.
This was Simone, and I'm gonna show back.
אתה בזבזת לנו פה יום שלם ומאות אלפי דולרים, אתה מבין את זה?
We believe in the power of stories. We love the people that work with us. We damn like what we're doing.
People want to be a part of something meaningful.
Ladies and gentlemen, Avi Nir.
Thank you, and please don't take this commercial too seriously. It's for investors, so it's with all due respect. Rick, I don't know who's this guy you've mentioned, but I'm telling you, he should be very grateful, and I hope he raises for the occasion and wears a proper suit this time for a change. Thank you, Meir, and thank you for the festival. It's truly an honor. And thank you, friends, for coming over. And you know, unlike the Keshet people who have to come, you didn't have to. So I deeply appreciate it. As a serial refusenik of events, I totally understand what it takes to come to an event. So thank you very much. But seriously, thank you for the Keshet team here and across the world, management, board, and everyone. I think this totally belongs to you. And I have to tell you, I'm honored to be in a company of Mr. Korman and Mr. Nativ, two creators, and or rather a legend and an upcoming brilliant young creator. And you know that with all due respects to us executives, my job, our job, is only to help creators' voices resonate. That's it. No more. So I want to quickly share just a flashback, or two flashbacks if you want, and a thought about what we're doing here. So the first flashback is that the year is 1967. Believe it or not, but there is no television in Israel. I'm a small kid, and my father is on the roof. He's taking 4 very, very big poles and putting together the largest antenna you've seen in your life. It's about 50 meters antenna. The reason being, there was no television in Israel, and we really wanted to watch television. So this antenna, I walked into the living room, and with this antenna, I watched American television shows from Cyprus and Jordan. That's a true story. And that's where I had my crush on American television. Second flashback is somewhat similar to what Rick has said. But my version is a bit different. Hagai Levy, who has worked for Keshet and was shooting in treatment here, asked me to come over, and he suggested that I should meet someone named Rick Rosen. Sounds okay. For some reason, he thought it was a good idea. And you know what? I have to tell you, 12 years ago, I think it was a pretty good idea. Damn good idea, if I may say so. Thank you, Rick. Thank you so much. And this summer, as Rick has mentioned, and this is full circle, we have shot, last summer we have shot a series for HBO in Israel, in Hebrew, which will be aired this summer, with Hagai Levy, Joseph Cedar, and Tafik El-Wael. Israeli television has come a long way, and it's interesting to examine what happened during these years and why Israeli television and creators resonate here and in other places. One explanation attributes it to our restless, entrepreneurial, some would say neurotic nature, which is clearly bearing fruit in startups. Another explanation, it's not the S, attributes it to the stories and drama, that, whether we like it or not, are part of our daily lives in Israel. That all might be true, but there's something deeper, and I think you heard it in what Guy Nativ said and Roger Corman said. And I took some time, I prepared a lecture about this actually, and examined leading Israeli series. I tried to get to the creative source, to the psychological and sociological source nucleus of current Israeli TV writing. And in brief, it's an hour lecture. From its inception, which was not long time ago, Israeli culture was subject to the ethos of meaningful personal writing. The role model are Israeli classic authors. In classic in Israel, I mean 30 years ago or so, like Amos Oz, David Grossman, Meir Shalev, Aleph Bet Yoshua. They write because they want to express or to say something. Writing for them is not a profession, it's a vocation, like Guy has said. This has also become a part of the operating system of most Israeli, again, Guy just mentioned it, I didn't write his lines. This was of the operating system of most Israeli film and TV writers, even young ones, but unlike 20 years ago, now they have the know-how, they have the skill, the talent to make or to synthesize personal and meaningful with the compelling and entertaining. Our creators in the last decade have taken this and managed to synthesize and create compelling television shows and even, God forbid, entertaining. The interesting thing is the more personal and local they get, the better the stories travel around the world. If you dig even deeper, in many cases it boils down to a root of unresolved inner angst, conflict, pain, and in many, many cases guilt. Whatever it's drama or comedy, guilt, pain, angst is lurking somewhere there, and that's what resonates with audiences. And I can't resist quoting Amos Oz, a great author and a thinker who departed last year, and his words about guilt. And the man could write, "Guilt is a Jewish invention. Our forefathers invented it here in Israel. Then the Christians came and marketed it with colossal success throughout the world. But the patent is ours. As a Jew, I have terrible guilt feelings about our having invented guilt feelings. But at the same time, if a day goes by and I don't have guilt feelings, I feel guilty. We're different from the Christians who also have abundance of guilt, because we Jews are apparently world champions in suffering from guilt feelings without enjoying the pleasures of sin in the first place. End of quote, Amos Oz. The late and great Amos Oz, yes. And one final note. It's a long way, which I'm about to make in 2 hours, from Tel Aviv to LA, about 12,000 kilometers. Bringing Israel to Hollywood and vice versa became a vocation and a business imperative for me and for Keshet. But there's something else. Like in the biblical story about Saul, who went looking for donkeys and found kingdom, I came here for business, but I've also have found friends, and may I say even family. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good afternoon.